Hey, what's going on, guys? I want to do a video on JJ's knife kit. This is a trapper made out of wood. I love all these different knife kits. Obviously a really cool thing to do with your kids. Great little presents for people. It shows the understanding and workings of a simple slip joint. This one's really awesome. Both of these came from viewers for Christmas presents, which is really nice. This one I already did with Christina. And I mentioned in the video that I did it backwards, where I put the spade blade on top because she did it how it's supposed to be, and I wanted mine to be a little different. But I'm going to put it together the proper way on video right now with you. So I'm going to show you what is in the kit and how to put it together. All right. So just going to open this real quick. There's some plastic wrap on the top. All right, so it's nice and sealed. You don't have to worry about parts missing. So that's how it's supposed to come. If it doesn't come like that, find a new one. Alright, so let's look at the top here. JJ's knife kit. This is a trapper. Of course, they make different ones. Complete wooden pocket knife kit. Genuine spring action, ages 7 and up, made in America. A wonderful introduction to the craft of woodworking. Says this kit is a craft project for adults and children to do together. Kit contains small parts. Adult supervision is required, not recommended for children under 7 years old. Included all parts and instructions needed to make a wooden pocket knife. All you need to supply is sandpaper. The included blades are unsharpened and the points are rounded. Kit contains 6 pieces of wood, 3 metal pins, and 1 instruction card. Alright, and they are dated, which is cool. Alright, so let's take a look at that. First we have our instruction card. It's going to show us how it goes together. You could read the individual steps, but I'm very visual, as most guys are. When, you know, dudes have to put stuff together, we look at the pictures for the most part. Not because we're dumb, just because we have an understanding by looking at a picture on how things work. Whereas women tend to read. But in addition to that, I will say if you are a couple somewhere and you're putting something together, sometimes the guy goes, what's this pin for? And that's when the woman tells you, duh. Step 3A, you're supposed to shove that over here, you know, and then you feel like an idiot. But for the most part, we get stuff done, don't we? Anyway, that's how I put this together. I looked at the picture. Plus, I have an understanding how knives work to begin with. So, some pieces. Actually, this is really cool. This one's different. This one was finished darkly. I know it sounds stupid. Let me finish darkly. This has a stained scales. I don't know if that was an accident. Looks like this might have just been an accident. They weren't really stained. This is how it's supposed to look like, right? You have nice stains. Actually, you know what? Is that even stained? Yes, it's a walnut stain. All right, I thought maybe it was a different wood. No, I could tell on the inside. So it's a walnut stain with the plain blades, right? That's what it's supposed to look like. But this kind of jacked up. Oh well, they'll still go together the same. I guess you can stain it yourself. So anyway, interesting. Okay, so here's the parts. Let's take a look at this. Plus, by the way, when you're all done, you got a cool little tin. If you're gonna make little survival tins and stuff, and little, you know, fishing kits and all that kind of crap using Altoids tins, this is an even cooler tin to use. So save your tins. Alright, so what we have here is our top handle scale with our shield. Okay, we have our bottom handle scale with our skid marks. We have our 2 back springs. Okay, we have our clip point blade and our spade blade. Alright, so those are the parts as well as our pins in our tiny little baggie. 3 steel pins. I'm not going to reuse this, so I can rip that open. It's not a problem. Let's put our pins on the table very carefully, so not let them slide off. And I'm going to put them in our tin because they're sliding all over the place. Alright, actually I'm going to take one back. So here's the first step that I did when I made this, was I lined a couple things up. I took the bottom scale, alright, and I put some pins in. Alright. These are kind of loosely fitting in. Alright, once you bring everything together, it kind of snugs up, but when you first put them in, put this against the table, you see it kind of can slide through. All right, so rest against a flat surface. Make your job easier here. All right, so there's my pins and my bottom scale. Now I want to layer everything, right? So the first thing I want to do is take one of my back springs. All right, there's going to be 2 holes on there. So let's put this on. Okay. Then I'm going to put on my bottom blade. In this case, the spade blade is what it's supposed to be. That is the correct order. So I'm going to put this through the pin. All right, now as I'm pushing down, I'm going to pull up on the wood here on that back spring, okay, because there is going to be pressure. That's the purpose. That's why it works as a spring, to keep that open and closed. All right, then layer up. Our next layer is another back spring. Okay. And then our top blade, which is our clip point blade. Put this in sideways so it's easier. And then of course our top handle. Very straightforward, very simple to do. Make sure everything's lined up properly. This is the hard part with the top scale, is once you get the pivot on, you have to kind of sandwich everything together to get that second pin in. I had difficulties with the other kit too, the same thing. You have to kind of, while you're holding it on one side, you have to kind of, I don't want to say bend, because obviously the wood's not bending, but you have to, you know, use your other thumb to push everything else back, if that makes any sense. So now everything's together, push down. Actually I use the case so I don't dent my table. Get all those pins straightened out using that metal case. Make sure everything's nice and flat on here. And there you go. So there's our knife. Make sure the blades work. They do function. It's a little tight and squeaky. You do need a little bit of oil in there, or again sanding, to completely fit all the pieces together properly. But what's cool about this is you could use a punch and take those pins back out. You can put it together as many times as you want, or you can glue them in and have it permanently in, so you know your child can play with it or keep it and open and close it without worrying about those pins falling out. It does function. It does stay in. Right now, pressure fits in because it's not quite perfect fit. But when you're opening it, that wooden back spring, even though it's wood, does work. You have kind of a half stop, and then when it pops totally open, it kind of wants to stay open. It doesn't want to close very easily because of that back spring. So there's our trapper. Very cool. We'll open our spade blade. Like I said, this one's a little funky with the stain. I mean, it never really wasn't stained properly, but it's kind of cool. It's different. Obviously, it's not supposed to be that way, so it's unique. So I don't see it as a bad thing. Kind of works out nicely since I already have a regular one. But this is what they're supposed to look like. As an FYI, they're supposed to look like that. Dark scales with the light blades. So there you have it. JJ's knife kit. Very, very cool stuff. I love all these kits, like I said. For little kids, teach them how to use knives. Plus, they can actually have a knife. If you're, daddy, and your kid always wants to play with daddy's knives, then they can't because they're ridiculously expensive or sharp or, or a combination thereof. Or your children aren't old enough to play with knives yet. Not that we play with our, oh yeah, we do play with our knives, but let's just say handle knives safely. This is a great alternative. They can have something like this. They can feel like they're awesome and grown up and have their own knife with very little chance of being dangerous. Obviously, even though it's still wood, they could poke an eye, but hopefully your kids are smart enough not to poke their eyes out. Obviously, some adult supervision is required, even when you do give them to them after it's built and stuff. I'd probably watch them, while they're handling it, so they don't run and like I said, fall and poke an eye out or something. But besides that, they're totally harmless. And even like I've said before, with a lot of these knife kits and stuff, even the point of your blade, if you were to stab into something, it would most likely snap before it would penetrate skin. Just my assumption by handling them. But anyway, that's it. JJ's knife kit. Big thank you again to the people who sent these. They're really, really cool. I had a lot of fun putting the other one together with Christina. So, really cool little kit. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you soon. Take care.